I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. Oh, I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. Joy, I'm singing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of joy right now, singing, I'm choosing joy today. I choose abundance today. I choose abundance today. I am walking the road of abundance right now, singing, I choose abundance today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of love right now, singing, I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today.
Yay, thank you. Welcome, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. It is my pleasure to be with you here this morning and to walk with you through our service. I'm so glad of all the places you could choose to be. You chose to be here to spend time with us. My name is Christina S. Young. I am a spiritual practitioner here at Genesis, and I am your host today. Our online host is going to be Eric this morning. If you're online experiencing the service on our Facebook feed, make a comment. Say hello to one another. What a great opportunity to create community within the comments. And then I wanted to let you know that if you are new here and this is your first time attending Genesis, we'll have an opportunity to say hello later in the service. So we have been in our season of prosperity, living in the flow of divine abundance. And our theme for this season is a rising tide lifts all boats, reminding us that prosperity is not just spiritual flow of good in our lives. Our giving lifts us to new heights and helps the whole community rise. So I'd like to invite you to join me in speaking our prosperity vision aloud. We come together to create a rising tide that lifts us all. So for our announcements this morning, I want to let you know that there's a community that's nearby that's another Center for Spiritual Living, Northern Lights. And we have an opportunity that we are going to get to hang out with them. And I want to let you know that they have reached out to us to send us a little message, and that is thank you so much for your generous donations to the families that we've been working with together. They appreciate it. And there is a photo with some of the families. And these are the families that we were helping out for the season of Thanksgiving. We have name tags available, so if you're not wearing a name tag, there's an opportunity to do that at the welcome at the bistro table. There are name tags, and that'll be really fun to wear when you stick around after service to enjoy our hospitality. And also today we have holiday card making. You have an opportunity to stick around after the service and make holiday cards. The supplies are provided. You're also welcome to bring your own, but Christy is going to be organizing and guiding this fun creative activity, and we get to do this after church every week this month, or it's November, so through up until it's time for Christmas, which is beyond this month. So you're welcome to bring some supplies as well if you want to continue doing that fun celebration with us after service. Giving Tuesday is coming up on December 2nd. We are inviting you to support our music program with a special donation this season. The first $1,000 given will be matched, doubling the impact of your gift and helping us continue to uplift our community through music. So when you are donating online, please include Giving Tuesday in the notes section, or if on your envelope or on your check, put Giving Tuesday in the notes section so we can direct your contribution appropriately. Online, you can donate on our website, genesiscsl.org. Donate here. Thank you so much for donating and participating in our Giving Tuesday. So if you shop at Fred Meyer, you can now support Genesis by just doing your regular shopping. We have set up the community rewards. So once you enroll in that, Genesis receives a quarterly donation based on your purchases. It's quick, it's free, makes a difference. You can pick up a flyer at the welcome table if you need some step-by-step instructions. So if you shop at Fred Meyer, it's an awesome opportunity to just live life, and Genesis gets to benefit, which is so cool. The Center for Spiritual Living Northern Lights, I just mentioned, is sponsoring a free holiday movie series beginning this Friday and running through Christmas. Popcorn is provided. So come join our CSL neighbors for some festive fun. The next movie is going to be Elf. That was December 28th, which is past, right? Did we already watch that? So we have another one coming up soon. I'm trying to remember if I saw which one they were doing. I don't remember off the top of my head. But holiday movies, 7 p.m., Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living, Fridays in December. You can join our licensed practitioners, Randy Singer, and myself, Christine S. Young, for a 6-week class. It is starting in January. Visioning a Way of Life. Discover clarity, purpose, and a deeper connection with spirit. If you haven't ever done visioning as a spiritual practice, it is profound and beautiful. It is one of my favorite practices for sure. I love it, and I can't wait to do this class with you guys. You can sign up at the welcome table. You can sign up online, but make sure you sign up by January, I think it's the 4th, to get the early registration price. So good stuff. You can sign up on our website at genesiscsl.org on the education page. Join us first Thursday every month on Zoom for LOVE, visioning, love visioning. That same visioning practice I was just talking about, we do that as a community, visioning for our community. It's a very powerful process. And it opens us to divine guidance beyond our own limited thinking, allowing spirit to reveal possibilities greater than we could imagine on our own. So come and join us for that deep, rich experience on the first Thursday of every month. So we have one coming up really soon. Do we have our book study after service today in addition to the card making? Yes, we do. So I would like to invite you guys to stick around. After the card making, the book study that we do is for everyone. You don't have to have a copy of the book. You don't have to come to every book study. But every time you drop in, it's an opportunity for a rich, profound time with community. They're always fantastic conversations. So I invite you to stick around for that. So now we get to just meet and greet each other, but before we do, I just want to recognize anyone who's here for the very first time and just welcome you. And I want to let you know that we're going to stand up and greet each other in a moment here. If you would like to greet one another in a hands-free way, the namaste greeting is great. We like to hug. If you're not a hugger, you can also offer a handshake, and we're always respectful with how people would like to be greeted. So please stand now, and I invite everyone to greet each other and say hello. Oh, it's so good to greet one another. So I'd like to invite everyone to make your way back to your seat. And I'd really like to thank everyone that's in service this morning. We have an amazing crew that comes almost every single week. And this morning, that crew included Eric, Jim, Michael, Gideon, Cynthia, Christy, and James to set up the room. We have a church in a box, which means our whole sanctuary gets set up every Sunday morning and then taken down when we're all done. And we're so grateful for the volunteers that show up powerfully every week to take care of us in that. Our morning greeter this morning is Christy. We thank you for greeting everyone. Running our projector and doing our video for our Facebook is Eric and Michael, kind of tag teaming those projects back there. And our online host, like I mentioned earlier, is Eric. You can say hi to him on Facebook. Doing our sound this morning is Jim. Collecting our offering is Gideon. Holding vigil for us this morning from home is Reverend Rose. So we're just grateful to all of those in service today. And we're really grateful to have our fantastic guest artist here today, Becca Palm. Please help me thank her for coming. Our food for our fellowship time after the service is provided by everyone. So thank all of you who brought food today, and I encourage you to stay with us after the service for our time of fellowship. So now I'd just like to invite everyone to move into our centering portion of our service. So we're going to begin with a song to just create that centering moment. So I hand it over to Becca to lead us in song.
I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I breathe and turn within. I breathe and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I pray and turn within. I pray and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's presence. I sing and turn within. I sing and turn within. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's love. I open up my heart and feel God's
Can we just take a deep breath right into that space where we can feel that presence of love? And in that space, I'd like to just share with you a reading from 7,000 Ways to Listen by Mark Meepo. We do not engage in the one living sense to simply better ourselves. We do so to enliven and grow the web of life. Though all the introspective practices can help us better understand who we are, there is another reward for being here authentically. Somehow, these virtues of openness, such as truth-telling, integrity, kindness, and love, give us access to our place in the living oneness of the universe. It's taken more than 50 years, but I have learned that experiencing oneness can let us know joy. And joy is not just self-serving, but a sign that the universe is working. Joy is the hum of oneness. Our aim is not just to get it together as an individual, but to be clear, integral cell in the heart of the world that keeps the universe going. Joy is a barometer that lets us know that everything is well-tuned. The work of being is to participate in this larger harmony, where hearing and feeling are the same thing. The work of being is to inhabit our aliveness. In such moments, we become a conduit for the oneness of life. Please join me in prayer. So I just take a moment to recognize there is only one power, one presence in the universe, and that is that creative source back of all. That one omnipotence that is omniscient, all-knowing, all-present. And the highest expression of that wisdom is love itself. So I just recognize that each one of us is an individualized expression of that one love, that one life, ever pouring forward. That one global heart that pours itself into every aspect of life that expresses, pours itself into me, pours itself into you. And we each individually are enlivened by that one creative life that is love itself in expression. So I just recognize that love is what is expressing right here, right now. Love is what is expressing as me. Love is what is expressing as each of us. Love is expressing powerfully, perfectly, wholly, completely. I recognize that we are all steeped in the warmth of that love. There is nowhere for us to be outside of that love. There is nowhere to be beyond that love envelops. So I recognize this day that we are love, and we get to do that here and now in community with one another. And so I just recognize that as we live, move, and have our being with our awareness of the truth of who we are, that we recognize that we are all one. We recognize our connection. We recognize that as life is one idea of brilliance, we are each playing our part, and we are connected to, from, and of that wholeness, of the whole being that is universal perfection. So I just speak my word of gratitude for each person here. I speak my word of gratitude for each person. For everything known and unknown, I'm just grateful knowing that this all comes together with one idea of life as an expression of love. I'm grateful to be carried by love. I'm grateful to know love. I'm grateful to be love. I'm grateful to share love. I'm grateful knowing that love is enough. And so with this deep gratitude, I just release this word under the law of love, knowing it is made manifest, whole, and complete in this very moment. And I'm so blessed. And so it is. Amen. And now I'd like to reintroduce our guest artist, the fabulous, incomparable Becca.
Just before you say something you can't take away, should cross that line for good. Whatever you decide, ask yourself from inside, what will love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. It's why for love we try for love, and in the end, it's all we know that's real. Whether right or wrong, it doesn't matter just as long as you let your heart decide. Ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. It's why for love we try for love, and in the end, that's all we know that's real. Whether right or wrong, it doesn't matter just as long as you let yourself decide. Ask your heart from inside, what will love do now? What will love do now?
Love would turn on the microphone. Oh. So today we're going to talk about, actually this whole month, we've been talking about unlikability and what you do when you encounter something that's unlikable. And what we want to do, today I want to talk about several ways to move, when we experience unlikability, to move ourselves into likability, into being able to like something that seemed to be unlikable at first. Let's start off. This affirmation is going to help get us there. My soul is as deep and vast as the ocean, filled with boundless, unconditional love. Once again, my soul is as deep and vast as the ocean, filled with boundless, unconditional love. So that's one thing love would do, is open itself. We're actually going to learn 3 methods of helping out when we find something unlikable in our lives. The one method is curiosity. We move into curiosity so that we can understand more about something that we find unlikable. Another is awe and wonder. We look at the, when we find ourselves in the state of awe and wonder, we sort of open to us being a part of the universe, more than one being separate from the all. But really the most important is God's soul. And I think it's because of my atheist upbringing that I have a trouble with the word God. So I want to explain, because really God is the God of your understanding. God is a powerful force in our lives. And some people like me, react to it because it's there's this picture of an old man, an old bearded man on a cloud throwing lightning bolts and smiting people he doesn't like. And that's not the God that I'm a part of the soul of. That is actually, looks a whole lot like Zeus, a different kind of God from a different time. When we talk about God's soul, we're talking about the one mind, the one soul that we're all connected, we're all part of. And when we're in, can we do the coffee filter slide? So. That's right. So when we're in unlikability, when we don't like something, we find ourselves down here. So the way this works, you guys have heard before, is that this represents how much energy there is in the different levels of emotions. And so at the bottom, we feel very contracted and our emotions are pulled together. And as we get up higher, the third dimension, the fourth dimensional reality, up, we get past, where's joy? Joy is here, acceptance, inner light. This is where we have joy, and this is where we are generally connected to the universe. So the godness in us is something we can open to, but when we contract too much, we feel like we're separate from everybody else, like we're not connected. So I'm going to be using the words God's soul, and I just needed to explain it for me so that we know what this means is we're all connected. There's one soul, and we're all a part of it, and we are all interconnected. I want to talk about two stories by Sy Montgomery. So she's going to talk about, one is about an octopus and one is about a snapping turtle. These are two creatures that are generally considered sort of scary and unlikable. And so Sy Montgomery was born in 1958. She was an army brat. So she moved around the world. Every couple of years, they'd live someplace else. Her mother was an FBI agent and pilot. So her father was a general. So she had a very interesting life. She became a naturalist and journalist and writer. She's written a bunch of books which are New York Times bestsellers, 30 books, over 30 books in total. Let's go to the next slide. This we're going to spend a little time on. The book I want to start with is one called The Life of a Lucky Turtle. And this is a snapping turtle. We don't have snapping turtles here, but we have them in New England where she lives and where I grew up. And we were always afraid of snapping turtles because of the name. They'd snap. But it turns out they don't actually run at you and snap. They only snap if you bother them, if you're a menace to them. And so really it's, don't bother me, turtle, or be kind from a distance. They're the ones that want to do namaste hands when it's time for the meet and greet. You don't want to hug a snapping turtle. This one was born many, many years ago in a pond. And at some point, they built a fire station next to the pond. And what it would do is this snapping turtle would spend most of the year in the pond, but when it was winter, it would cross the road, and there was like a very not busy road. It would cross the road and dig itself into a hole in the mud and spend its winter stuck in the mud. And one day, after many years of being there, they upgraded the road so that it was a state highway, and there was lots of traffic. And this turtle, which they called Fire Chief because the fire people liked it, was next to the fire station. One day when it was crossing the road, it got hit by a car. And people saw it, and some people saw it and decided to rescue it, but they didn't know how to rescue it because it was a snapping turtle, and they didn't want it biting them. But they got a mat from their car, and they managed to shove the snapping turtle onto the mat and then carry the mat to the animal hospital, to the turtle rescue, and the turtle rescue people took it, and its shell was cracked, but they managed to repair the shell so that it would grow back together. And its rear legs were injured, So they had to give it a turtle wheelchair. So it had a little wheel on the back and would pull itself with its arms. And then it managed to recover to the point where they could have brought it back into its pond, but they didn't want it crossing the road to go in the mud again. And they didn't know how they could stop that. But what they ended up doing was they built it a new pond and a new mud where it didn't have to cross the road. And now this fire chief snapping turtle gets to live there. So what they did, there was a lot of, and we know because of how long these snapping turtles live, this snapping turtle will outlive us all. It will know our great-grandchildren. And so this is a nice thing. So we started off with snapping turtles as beings who are sort of scary because of the snapping. But when we look at curiosity, when we become curious, we move into our planner part of our brain. So this, by the way, is Jill Bolte-Taylor's diagram of the brain. And this is anatomically how our brains are arranged. There's the feeling part of the brain and the thinking part. The thinking part is the frontal nodes, and the feeling part is the lower nodes. So these are the thinking parts of the brain, and these are the feeling parts of the brain. This is the creative side of the brain, the right brain. That's the side that lives outside of time and space and is always connected with spirit, is always connected with oneness in the universe. So God's soul lives in this part. God's soul lives in this part too, but it doesn't know it. It's like, no, I am separate and I'm going to keep this body safe. And so this fight, flight, fawn, freeze. This is a part of our brain that is afraid of snapping turtles because it wants to keep all our fingers on our hands. And we're very glad of this because snapping turtles can do that. But you just keep your fingers away from their mouths. When they do the namaste hands, you do the namaste hands back to them. So we become curious about these snapping turtle, and that's how they managed to get it onto the car mat. If we want to hold it, but we don't want to pick it up. I mean, you'd think you could hold it by the back of the shell, but he's got some pretty good toenails that he can scrape your skin with. But the car mat works, and so curiosity helps. And then when we think about the soul of the turtle, then we're into the creative part of our brain, the connector. This is our Buddha selves. This is a part that knows that we are one, even with snapping turtles, that we can like snapping turtles and not be afraid of them, that we can be one with them. And the explorer is the part that just sort of, ourselves. Actually, I think of it as more as part of the awe and wonder. And so it is, to me, the whole story, hearing about how the snapping turtle was born, when that state highway was a dirt road. Before there was a fire station there, this was a little tyke and moved into the pond and was going and burying himself in the mud every year and is going to be alive, to see, who knows, flying cars? Well, at least self-driving cars. Maybe the self-driving cars can have a subroutine not to hit turtles crossing the road. I could develop that. I don't know if they'd want to put it in, but it would save turtles. So this is the idea, is that by leaning into, when we find ourselves afraid of something or disliking it, that's going to be this part of our brain that wants to keep us safe. And so we want to listen, because there is, snapping turtles really do snap. But by moving into curiosity and oneness, the oneness of God's soul in us, and the awe and wonder, we get to just appreciate, these different forms of life on earth. Sy Montgomery also wrote a book, The Soul of an Octopus. And I don't know if you remember, months ago, I told our true life story of an octopus family where the mother octopus had been befriended by scuba divers, in Des Moines here, and she had a bunch of babies and died, and the scuba divers decided that they were collectively going to become the octopus baby's mother. And one of them actually describes her experience. She said she gets up every morning at 4 a.m., goes to school by 5, she's off of work by 4 p.m., and then after dinner she gets in her scuba gear and goes down to be octopus mother. And octopus babies are pretty independent. They can feed themselves, but they're contained for safety in they're in an enclosed area, and they can breathe all the oxygen out of the water. Instead of inhaling oxygen from the air, there's oxygen in the water, and they can run that through their lungs, octopus lungs. They're not really lungs, but I forget what they're called. But they extract gills, right? They bring them through their gills, and they extract the oxygen from the water. Because there are so many of them in the enclosed area, the mother will usually oxygenate the water for them. And so the divers had an oxygenator bubbling oxygen into the water, and they had to make sure that would work so that their octopus babies wouldn't suffocate. They also are, unfortunately, very delicious to all these fish that live around there. And so that's the other thing the octopus parents had to do, was keep them safe from all the predators. It's fine that these fish want to eat octopus babies, but not these octopus babies, not today. These ones are going to grow up, and Des Moines is going to have a wonderful supply of octopuses. I'm sure they do now because it was last fall. So I think the babies have grown up and are inhabiting our seascape. Sy Montgomery wrote a book about octopuses, and by the way, octopuses, there are 3 correct plurals for octopus: octopuses, octopi, and octopodes. If you want to seem really fancy, you can say octopodes, because octopus comes from the Greek, and the plural of octopus is octopodes in Greek. But because we aren't Greek, most people will you're more likely to be understood if you say octopi or octopuses. But if you hear the word octopodes, you'll know where it came from. So Sy was talking with her friend Jody Simpson at Hiking with Dogs and saying, "Octopus, aren't they monsters? Weren't you scared?" And this reflects less an ignorance of the natural world and more a familiarity with Western horror movies, and even there's a 13th century Icelandic story about a giant octopus which takes down a boat. Now, just so you know, this is to reassure your reactive brain. Octopuses can't really injure us. Nobody has ever died as a result of anything an octopus or squid did. There are giant squid in the Pacific that are like 30, 40 feet long, but they don't kill people. They eat deep sea fish. They live deep under the sea. People, when they would die and float to the surface, people would see them, and they would imagine what would happen if they were malevolent and much stronger than they are. So Sy, when her friend called it a monster, she thought monsters are like ugly and scary and large and frightening. And when I see an octopus, I see a beautiful creature who just like is very interested and fascinated in us. Christy and I took our oldest grandson to the Seattle Aquarium when he was about 3 or 4, and there was an octopus there. They don't have octopuses that live there forever, but what they do is they will occasionally take an injured octopus. It's like the turtle rescue, except it's octopus rescue. They'll take an injured octopus and bring them into the aquarium to recover. And this particular one was fascinated with the grandson. When he walked close to the glass, the octopus like scuttled over there and like looked through the glass at him. And then when he moved, the octopus would go and look at the glass. And our friend who was on the aquarium board was saying, this octopus does not like most people as much as he likes your grandson. So it was fascinating to see this. Now, octopi have a whole different anatomy than we do. They have 9 brains. They have 1 brain in each of their 8 arms, and then one in their head. They're very smart and creative. They're about as smart as a cat. They can solve problems, and the suckers on their tentacles are so versatile. They can use them not only to suck and attach to things, but they can untie knots and tie knots with them. So they can use them. So, I mean, I would take suckers instead of hands if I could do everything I can with my hands plus suck. But not a choice. It wasn't on the menu. So it's interesting. Sy Montgomery, when she couldn't convince her friend that they weren't monsters, but she said, well, what's so bad about monsters? If you think of King Kong and Godzilla got woken up from a long nap. He was sleeping in the mud like the turtle by a nuclear explosion. Now, wouldn't you be grumpy if you were woken up from your nap by a nuclear explosion? And King Kong, who can blame King Kong from being attracted to Fay Ray? Now, he should have understood, like, no means no, but maybe they didn't teach that in gorilla school. So, sharks are other examples of, things we think of as monsters. We can think the popular culture image of sharks is that they come and they're just looking for people to eat. And they aren't really. They eat fish, seals, and turtles. And when people are swimming near the surface, sometimes they look to sharks like a flailing fish, like a dying fish, and they think, oh, that one's dying. I'll just take it out of its misery. I'd be doing the world a service and filling my tummy. And surfers look like turtles to sharks. And so they think, oh, there's a turtle, I'll go take a bite. So this is, the sharks are just like us, going around trying to find food, trying to stay alive. And when we can think about a shark like that, we're less likely to be afraid of them. I mean, I still don't want to surf around them. But I don't have to think of them as a menace. I think of them as something that I want to stay at a safe distance from. Make sure it doesn't mistake me for its lunch. Ernest Holmes. When we talk about Ernest Holmes, when Ernest Holmes was in junior high and high school, his nickname was the eternal question mark, because he was always questioning everything. I think that's why he left high school as soon as he was old enough, because high school in those days was about finding answers. Here's the answer, here's the answer. And he's like, I have a billion more questions. And they're like, well, we don't care about your questions. We care about all these things we have answers for. And he's like, no, I want to explore God and nature and wonders and science of mind. And no, he didn't know science of mind. It was Christian science and Christian science. Although he wasn't, you guys know he wasn't a Christian scientist, but he studied for 2 years at a Christian science school, which is why you can see he lived in that atmosphere. He lived in that world, but he expanded it beyond what Mary Baker Eddy wanted people to be looking at. She wanted people to learn, the wonderful healing she got from the Bible alone. He was like, the Bible's great, and look at this. Look at all this. Why should we take our eyes from this when, this and this. Ernest Holmes also, when we're talking about awe and wonder, Ernest Holmes says, awe is not just emotion, it's a form of spiritual perception, a glimpse through the veil into the one life expressing as everything. And let's go back to the coffee filter again. So when you move into awe, you move from the contracted state, and so this says third dimension. So that's third dimensional life, and we live in a three-dimensional world. So in the fourth dimensional world, this is sort of the world of creating things with our minds and using our minds to expand our three-dimensional world. And then the fifth dimensional world is where you sort of leave behind the three-dimensional world, and you have oneness with God. So this is, when you experience awe and wonder, it's a feeling of it's a feeling of being small in a very large connected universe. Brené Brown says, awe and wonder are essential to the human experience. Both awe-inspiring events and the experiences that leave us filled with wonder often make us feel small compared to our expansive universe. Small but connected to each other and connected to the largeness itself. And so that is a way we fall into our creative brain. We fall out of our linear three-dimensional world into the world of God, the world where we are connected with God's soul. On Black Friday, Christy and I brought our oldest two grandsons, Q and Josiah, to the Seattle Center. And they were climbing on this huge climbing structure they have that covers, maybe half an acre. It's just this giant, and it goes really high. Giant structure. And Josiah got up to the top of the tunnel, and then what the climbing structure has, it has dangling pathways where you can see down and you can see all around, but it has webbing to keep you safely in it. But it doesn't look or feel safe because it wiggles when you walk in it. You feel like you're going to fall out the side. And so Josiah stopped and he said, "I'm scared. I can't get on that. I'm going to fall. I'm going to fall." And so the first thing we did was we opened our hearts. We saw him as part of God and filled with love and surrounded by love, surrounded by angels, which I couldn't see, but I imagined. And then moved into his curiosity. And it's just like, so Josiah, look at it. You know you're safe, and you can look at it, and you can see it wiggles, but you can't fall through. See how you can get on, and it wiggles, and you can't fall through? And he looked, and we'd sent his brother. His brother was on his way to rescue him, but it was a long way away. He's on a completely different part of the structure, and he had a long way to go. And before the brother got there, Josiah ran across, and then for the next 40 minutes, he was running all over the paths, and the fear was completely gone because he'd leaned into the oneness, he'd leaned into the curiosity, and he knew that it was safe. It was likable. So this was our way of using the three techniques of moving from unlikability, from scariness into likability. So let's take a deep inhalation right now. And just do a brief guided meditation on it. And let's breathe into our hearts. Open our hearts to appreciation. Open our hearts to love. And we feel the appreciation filling the hearts. We feel the love. And we know we are connected. And in this love, we know we're safe in here. We know we're safe and secure. We have enough. We are taken care of. We are loving and beloved. And we are worthy. Each of us is deeply worthy. Our worthiness is beyond question. We are beloved and completely worthy. And as we lean back into that love, into that worthiness, into that safety, we are empowered. We can make a difference in this beautiful world. Just being in this world with curiosity, with God's soul manifesting within us and everybody else, and with the vision to see and feel that connection of us to God and to each other, and the awe and wonder. Going through life like this, we open ourselves and we open others. We can make a difference in others' lives. So let's inhale again into our hearts and exhale. One of the things, when we're looking at awe and wonder, I talked about things in nature, but we can find things, sometimes you see beautiful alleys. Sometimes you see graffiti on buildings that, not everybody likes graffiti, but sometimes it can be beautiful. I mean, maybe we have to understand, maybe the graffiti artist we can transform them from unlikable to understandable and maybe encourage them to graffiti over here instead of on my house. So this is, we make a difference in the world by our consciousness. Because we had the consciousness of not panicking and knowing that Josiah could do that when he was trapped on the climbing structure, he managed to save himself, and I don't know if he'll ever be afraid on that climbing structure again, but if he is, he'll be able to remember how he used curiosity and faith to move him through it and give him that capability. So let's all say this together a couple of times. My soul is as deep and vast as the ocean, filled with boundless, unconditional love. My soul is as deep and vast as the ocean, filled with boundless, unconditional love. And we know that we can feel God's soul within each of us, and we can feel it also and see it within each other, and even unlikable people, and even creatures who we might be afraid of. We open to our curiosity, becoming or aspiring to be the eternal question mark like Ernest Holmes. And we know where his eternal questioning got us here now. So he invented a whole teaching and vastly benefited the world just from that attitude of being the eternal question mark. And awe, we can find awe, yes, we can find it in nature. I love watching airplanes land. That fills me with awe, even though the city of Burien is trying to make sure there aren't any more of them landing. I can't disagree with that either. I've lived in many houses under airports, and it can be very loud. But we know that we can understand both sides. We know that there's awe to be found in the world, and there's negotiation and making sure that we share the pain. And by seeing each other as people, by seeing the unlikable people as being likable, possibly likable, understandable, then that makes it easier for us to work with each other. And we make a more beautiful world by modeling that working with each other and connecting with each other. So go forth this week with that ability. Now we're going to get into the prayer portion. The prayer portion of our service. Prayer demonstrations on one side, and this is any miracle, any manifestation where you thought of something and it happened in the world. If you write that on your prayer demonstration side, that makes your prayer that much more powerful because you have an instance of it already having worked. You know that this is something that's true. And then on the other side, the prayer ministry, are prayers. You can do a prayer for yourself, for somebody else, a prayer of thanksgiving, a prayer of longing. You can put it on here, and not only will it have the power of your prayer, but our practitioner core prays on it all week, and so it connects to all the other prayers. Its power is multiplied exponentially as the practitioners move into a very open state for sending your prayer into the universe. And now another inspiring song from Becca.
I don't know how many of you know Faith Rivera, but she's a fabulous artist and musician from Hawaii. She's got a beautiful spirit, and she wrote this song, and it's so beautifully, for me, languages, our understanding and the gifts that come from those things we don't like so much, those things that cause storms inside of us. I've had my share of heartache and sorrow, moments of sadness, lonely despair. I've been down on my knees, begging life, please, to take these burdens I bear. I embrace the pain that I feel, for I know it's birthing me into a greater way of being. I'm ready to receive the gifts this storm may bring. There's a deeper sense within of God unfolding. Yes, these clouds are lifting me. Lord knows I've tried to run from these battles, and each time I circle to where I began. Can't seem to move on till the learning is done. Teach me the perfection here. I embrace this pain I feel, for I know it's birthing me into a greater way of being. I'm ready to receive all the gifts this storm may bring. There's a deeper sense within of God unfolding. My light is growing. Yes, these clouds are lifting. They're lifting me, raise me up to a new glorious mountain. I will love each valley and peak, and there will be a new me for certain. Every step Every turn, my God is waiting there. My greatness, it dares. I embrace this pain that I feel, for I know it's birthing me into a greater way of being. I'm ready to receive all the gifts the storm may bring. I know it's girthing me. God unfolding, my light is growing. There's peace in knowing that these clouds are lifting. Oh, I love the storm. Oh, I love the pain, because it's growing me. I know these clouds are lifting. They're lifting me.
Love is everywhere. Love is in the pain. Love is what we experience when we allow ourselves to have grace in that moment. Thank you. I want to invite you all into an opportunity to be in circulation and to share that love that is your financial treasure with Genesis. This is an opportunity to support Genesis, which is a community dedicated to love, inspiring harmony, creating connections to empower one another. Your support makes all of this possible. So I'd like to invite you to take a moment to craft your financial gift through check, through cash, through giving online at genesiscsl.org, or you can text your tithe to 206-800-7595. Once you have your gift crafted, I invite you to take that, or the representation of it, as well as your prayer card, and hold it to your heart and say with us our blessing. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. So I'd like to invite Gideon to come forward and collect the offering as we all sing with Becca, I give because I believe.
I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love, and love is given to me. I give because I believe in joy. I give because I believe in joy. I give because I believe in joy, and joy is given to me. I give because I believe in peace. I give because I believe in peace. I give because I believe in peace, and peace is given to me, and peace
So it is with deep gratitude that we receive these gifts. Recognizing the power of stepping into the flow and divine goodness, we just allow ourselves to receive the bounty as we give and as we receive. We are embracing the circulation of bounty for all. So thank you for your generosity and your gift. And so it is. So I'd like to just thank all of you for joining us today, and I hope you do stay with us afterward for some fellowship and some card making. And so I'd like to invite you to stand now and sing with us our closing song, Together We Rise. Thank you all. Have a beautiful week.